Welcome to Doing Business in Rwanda. I'm your host, Sandrine Mutoniwase. In this episode, we explore how Rwanda is providing support in unlocking the full potential of the female economy. Stay tuned. Rwanda recently hosted the 2025 Financial Alliance for Women Annual Summit, a global gathering spotlighting the transformative potential of women's economic empowerment. From policymakers to entrepreneurs and financial service providers, delegates came together to share innovations, challenges, and solutions for scaling access to finance for women. Rwanda's gender-inclusive policies and its central bank's commitment to inclusive financial services has positioned the country to become a beacon for women's economic empowerment in Africa.
It was really important, I think, for a central bank in a developing economy not to lose sight of inclusivity and sustainability topics as well. We've done a number of initiatives, taking the last 15 years, first measuring what financial inclusion looked like in Rwanda. And Access to Finance Rwanda actually has been a partner in that journey with the first FinScope survey that was published in 2008 and showed that only 21% of Rwandans had access to formal financial services. And from that, the government decided that financial inclusion had to be at the heart of what policymaking in terms of financial and economic growth was, by setting up and promoting savings and credit cooperatives in every single sector in our country. So making really the access to finance going to rural areas and making sure that our rural population had access to a financial institution within 5 kilometers of their home.
On the business front, women-led enterprises like Issue Foods are proving that with the right support, SMEs can grow from humble beginnings to national recognition.
So Issue Foods was born in 2017 in my home kitchen. Back then it was just me and one other person. We started by making jams. We make a little bit of jam also, but 97% is yogurt. Say banks, business development organizations, walk with us through this journey. And as far as money is concerned, we've been able to access 3 to 4 loans now from local organizations, like I told you, and banks. In the beginning, we were able to secure a few grants that helped us through the hard periods of starting the business then. And we've also had a few angel investors also invest in the company, and all of those have mounted to getting us this far, from starting small in the kitchen to where we are now. We're able to supply, like I told you, we're able to supply to 200 supermarkets, and it doesn't just come that way. Obviously, we had our own contribution, my contribution, family supporting us as far as money is concerned. But yeah, banks also, business development organizations, especially loans that are, when you're an SME, you want a loan that is friendly, affordable, say, small interest, and all of that.
And I agree with many perspectives that think that SMEs, they also need funding, like grants or loans, and I agree, there's no solution that fits all of us as entrepreneurs, but a solution that really fits me as a creative entrepreneur, and I believe it's for many other creative entrepreneurs, is to just allow ourselves to start something. And it's very hard to do it with our own funding because we don't even have funding at the start, but then we build a muscle. We learn how to save. We learn how to stay competitive on the market. That's what I've achieved. I learned how to save, to stay competitive on the market, to really know that my funding, the source of my funding is only my revenues. So that, and now looking forward, the terms of, in terms of funding, the way we are expanding the new markets that we are looking into. We are looking into the Emirates, we are looking into Europe, we are looking into the US, we are looking into Singapore and a section of Asia. There's no way I can afford to do that on our own funding, especially at the speed that I want to do that on. And the reality is now I'm starting to open different funding proposals and portfolios to know what is really on the market and to know how much do I want to engage with external funding, at what ratio. You know, how much do I want to have external funding in ratio to the funding of the business. And I remain of a point of view of staying competitive, really, and innovating. I believe it's for me, the way I approach business is rather qualitative than quantitative.
To really cater to the women's market, you have to go to where they are. You can't sit in your marble branch and expect them to come in the door. You have to go to the market. You cannot waste their time. They don't have the time. So you have to have the methodologies. Then you integrate digital so that you reduce the transaction costs and so on and so forth. And you get non-traditional forms of collateral that they can then, you know, and they basically, you never need the collateral. It's very rare that a woman would default, but we keep asking them for too much. So it's basically a supply side constraint, and to convince the CEOs to do this, they need to see the business case. And the business case is very compelling. Women pay back the loans, as I mentioned. They also are, they're the chief purchasing officer in their household. So if you're basically have a woman as a customer, you can get all sorts of savings, insurance, etc., etc. Creating that business case is very compelling, and we need more banks to become interested in doing that and to understand that this is a fabulous market. They're very loyal. Once you serve them, they will tell many other women that they're happy, and if they're not happy, they'll tell even more women. So the word of mouth thing is hugely important, bringing them in.
As female-led businesses evolve, mentorship and capacity building continue to play a transformative role.
And some of the barriers that we came across with then when we were starting were just a team, finding the right people to walk this journey with. We were very privileged to have a few supermarkets trust in our product. And then as time went on, we came to realize we need to have standards, the RSB mark to ensure food safety and hygiene, and also HACCP. Because we have HACCP is now why we can be able to afford to supply to big hotels in Rwanda. Other few challenges were managing our finances, recovery, finding affordable finance to finance the business and keep it going. But through the years, we've managed to navigate through those problems through the partners that we work with that help us with capacity building, the things that people call small but are very important in business management and looking through the business as it grows.
Rwanda is also leveraging data and technology to drive gender-inclusive financial services.
So at the Central Bank of Rwanda, we use technology first by building an electronic data warehouse, which is a supervisory technological tool that allows banks to automatically not only submit their financial reports so that we make sure that they are complying with their prudential requirements, but we made sure that we also use it for financial inclusion purposes. So mandating banks to also send gender desegregated data.
Beyond funding, entrepreneurs like Paradis say mentorship and resilience are vital pillars for building impactful businesses.
Particularly, but I looked for a company that could mentor me and coach me. And that has been the value of that at the start of my business, even until today, has been more than financial, really. So because finding a company that will help you navigate the technical demands of your business, the customer demands, the qualitative demands of a business. How do you manage your staff? How do you manage your finances? How do you build your financial ability and wisdom in business, so that you are a financially sustainable business? That has been more than funding. And that's, and then a second thing has been my drive as an entrepreneur, as a creative entrepreneur. At least in the past 9 years, as I was a startup, I now made it to becoming a medium-sized enterprise. But from the level of starting with barely $200, to where we are right now, it's been really important for us to build the muscle of working really well and relying on our customers and our revenues as the source as the first source of our funding.
I think it's good, yeah. All of those initiatives have come at the right time, or have even been there in the past, but now putting more strength into them, so that they are able to benefit as many women as possible. And yeah, you are right. Women face many challenges in as far as accessing affordable financing for their businesses. They kept on saying it, we kept on talking about it yesterday, access to to collateral for you to be able to get a loan, and also credit history. When you go to get a loan in the bank, they'll ask you if you have customers, there has to be proof. How are they paying you? Will you be able, in brief, will you be able to pay the loan?
What I always believe in new opportunities for different women, you know. There's a certain privilege that I've had of being, you know, having access to mentorship that probably many other women don't have when they start their own businesses. And now there is also the level of scalability that I cannot just achieve in the ways that I started. You know, it doesn't mean that what worked so far today is going to continue to work, you know. So I keep on enjoying these solutions, and especially to see how financial institutions are coming together to tailor-make solutions that are targeting challenges that especially as women entrepreneurs we face. I'm really excited. Yeah.
Amazing.
With Africa's rapidly growing population, closing the financing gap for women-led SMEs is not just the right thing to do. It is an economic necessity.
If you look at Africa and how it's going to grow, it's the fastest growing population in the world. Europe is aging. They won't have a market in 30 years. The market is in Africa. What we need to get is the banks to move down market and finance the SMEs, and even below the single ownership businesses, not the corporations. Okay, that they're needed, but really you need to capitalize the SME segment if you're going to grow your economy.
Numbers show that globally, if we were to close the gender gap in financing women entrepreneurs, that would add up to $6 trillion of economic value to global GDP. And I bring this down to Rwanda. What would that mean if we were to add $700 million to our GDP? And those $700 million would be coming from women entrepreneurs. So there's a business case there, so let's make it happen.
Women entrepreneurs are not just participants in Rwanda's economy and the world at large, they are catalysts of growth, innovation, and resilience. As strategies like the We Finance Code and Gender Data initiatives roll out, the future of the female economy in Rwanda looks increasingly promising. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Doing Business in Rwanda. With me, Sandrine Umutoniwase.